Good evening and welcome to Cowboy Church. I was having to contain myself. You need this. We usually start the services with a little more enthusiasm, with a full band, working up to this. But anyway, my name is Tim. I'm the pastor here at Cowboy Church, and our new fearless leader has asked me to introduce myself. Somebody knows what's coming. So she was even surprised to learn that not only was I homeschooled for part of my education, but we also homeschooled our kids. And so where should I start bragging? Where should I start talking about homeschool first? So my parents, this will surprise some of you that don't know, my parents were missionaries in Togo, West Africa, when it was time for me to receive my education. That's how I say it at Cowboy Church. Meaning, I actually did the first grade in a public school here in Texas, and then second grade was there. So we did some public school when we were on furlough in the States, but homeschool in West Africa. And it was because of necessity. They did have public schools, mais là, ils parlaient toujours le français, ils n'enseignaient pas en anglais. So I grew up speaking French as well as English, but they didn't. Okay, full disclosure. Does anybody have any kindergartners? They put me in a public kindergarten in the capital city of Togo, West Africa. I quit. Dropped out at an early age. But then I started back properly at the first grade. Anyway, and there's big stories behind it. But all the way through my freshman year in high school, I was off and on homeschooled and then finished in a public high school in Gaiman, Oklahoma. Later I would marry. We have 2 children. Our daughter is, somebody got a calendar? I want to say it's terrible. I'm going to say our daughter is 32 and our son is 26. I really need to do the math on that. That's terrible, isn't it, Don? I think he is too, but 95. That's 27. Okay, Buck's 27. Anyway. So we've lived here in Casa Grande for the last 20 years, and prior to that, we lived down by Yuma for about 5 years, a few years in Texas. But early on, my wife chose to homeschool our children, and so I am one of those homeschooling dads that pretty much wrote the check. Mama did the work. Did a good job. She used the Becker curriculum, was faithful to the task, and our daughter finished high school here in Arizona, went to our local Central Arizona College, did very well. In fact, early on, her English teachers would tell the other students, you need to do your papers like Heidi does. So, anyway, she transferred to a school in Texas, Tarleton State University, where she graduated with a Bachelor of Science, with, I think, magna cum laude. So we're strong believers in homeschool, not just for an alternative way of educating your kids, but also for a quality education. Our son Buck did the same thing, kind of finished up here. CAC, did a couple years at CAC. He would not want me telling this story. I think he went to college for 10 years. However, without a college degree, he began teaching ag at a public high school in Yuma, and currently is beginning his 6th year as an ag teacher, and last year earned his Bachelor of Science from the University of Arizona. And so we're proud of our kids, obviously, but grateful for the opportunity to homeschool. And so I want to encourage you, and part of why we do this is to encourage you to stay the course. If God has called you to educate your kids this way, we want to be an encouragement to you. And sometimes it's not easy, but it has certainly produced good fruit in our lives. Oh, should I brag a little bit more? I joke about my education, and in fact, my dad, who's the founding pastor of our church, one of our fun stories on him is that highly educated, a man who thought he was highly educated, worshiped with us one time, and after the service, talking to him was, I guess, a little awkward, and just kind of came right out and asked my dad if he had any formal education. Larry likes that because we kind of cowboy it up when we speak. So my dad earned a bachelor's degree from a college in Texas. He earned a bachelor's degree equivalent to a master's degree in seminary. He learned to speak French by attending a French language institute for a year in France, could preach and teach in French and English, also learned an African language. that he studied intensely for about 4 months and could preach and teach in that language. And so I also have earned a bachelor's degree, went to seminary, have earned a master's degree, have studied the biblical languages, both Hebrew and Greek. Oh, I can't believe it. I forgot this is on live stream. Amanda didn't know. You didn't think I could talk so long, did you? Y también, gracias a Dios, yo hablo español. Amanda, that's probably all I got for now. I'll let you crack down on the rules. She's like, oh, man. She's going to introduce herself. Our fearless new Roundup homeschool ministry leader.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Stuland. Some faces I know, some faces are new, but welcome and thanks for coming to this orientation night so we can find out what's going to be happening this year at our co-op and to answer questions that you guys probably have. All right. You probably already read that. I've been married to my husband, Nathan. He's here. We have 4 kiddos. They're at home. And I've been homeschooling for 11 years. I started with my oldest daughter just because I didn't want to pay for preschool. I thought that was too expensive. I'm like, I could probably do that. I could do that myself. And then year after year, I said, I could do this one more year. Now I'm finally to the point where I have 2 high schoolers, and I'm like, I'm doing this forever. And plan on graduating all my 4 kiddos. All right, what are we going to do? Some of our teachers are here. I'm just going to have you wave your hand if I say your name. But I'm going to go through. Bria is here. You could wave. She's going to be doing PE with the littles in the morning, and then she's also doing world geography for 3rd through 5th grade. And then Jessica over here is doing the Lego STEM class for our littles. And that was it. Okay, let's see. Jessica Hill is doing the Learning Through Literature for kindergarten through 2nd. And then Cora is doing Mystery of History. And Elizabeth Kunkel, she's not here, but she's going to be doing an arts and crafts class for our littles. And then Jonathan, I forgot his last name. It's Jasmine's husband, if you know Jasmine. He's doing the PE for kindergarten through 5th grade. And then who else is here? Tabitha's doing the survival class. She's not with us tonight. Bria's son, Judah, I don't see him here, but he's going to be doing stop motion. And then we have Tabitha again doing PE, and Shannon Rosano here is going to be doing general science. That's a change in teachers. And Crystal is not here, but she's going to be doing Mystery of History. And then Karen is doing the Dave Ramsey finance class. Then we have our high school classes. Lori is not here. She's doing government, and she's also doing chemistry on Fridays in her home. And we have Larry doing creative writing, and myself, I'm doing an art and drawing class. Okay. In your packet, there is a schedule. The one on the screen is the most up to date, so I'm going to have you take your pen and make a mark on where you see on your paper world geography and the survival class. Those have switched, so you could just draw an arrow. So survival class is going to be at 10:15, and it has switched to the west building. And then world geography is going to be in here at the back. And what else? And then if you want to switch the teacher name on general science for 6th through 8th grade, that is now Shannon. I think that's the only change on this printed one. You can also find this on the app. under, I'll tell you exactly where to find it. Events and news. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the picture, and there's a link in there so you can always see the most up-to-date. It shouldn't change anymore, but this is the most up-to-date on the app. Okay. Thank you, teachers, for volunteering this year, giving your time. All right, schedule. Okay, in your hand you have the application, and then we have also added this year some guidelines and standards for the co-op. So I'm just gonna read through these so then I know that everybody has heard them, and then if you have any questions about what's on here, just make a note, and you can ask those questions during the Q&A time. Roundup Homeschool Ministry is a cooperative program, and all members and families must do their part to help the co-op succeed. It is a ministry that is completely volunteer-led. All member families must sign up for 2 volunteer jobs to participate. This can include doing a special event. All volunteering adults must have read and agreed to abide by the Roundup Homeschool Ministry application and guidelines and standards. That's this paper. Roundup Homeschool Ministry, I'll just say Roundup, yep, is not a drop-off program. At least one parent must be on campus with kids at all times. In the event of emergency, where you need to briefly leave campus, that's fine, but please designate another adult to be in charge of your kiddos, and let myself know, or Pastor Tim, but he's not always around. Okay, if you are a teacher and you know that you will be absent, I will appreciate a 24-hour notice. I know that's not always possible, but it would be greatly appreciated and helpful, so then I can find one of the substitutes to fill in for you if you're not able to be here. And if you have any vacations coming up through the year where you already know I'm not going to be here this week, then you can tell me now, and I'll find somebody for that day. Okay, class fees will be paid on the first day on Wednesday, and that will be given directly to the teacher. So you can bring that in an envelope, cash or check is fine. If you talk to the teacher and they want to do PayPal or something like that, I'm sure that would be fine too. Let's see. All right. Students, please show up on time and remain in class for the entire class period. If a student needs to leave, please get permission from the teacher first before exiting the class. Okay, fellowship and forming friendship is encouraged at Roundup, but please be respectful of class time and keep conversations quiet, or if possible, outside of the classroom. I'll talk about here places where you can hang out. If there's no class happening in this room, you can hang out in here. You can hang out in the foyer out there. In the West building, there is a little library section, but only a small amount of people can fit in there. And there is the kitchen in the West building also, and I plan on having the divider set up. So if you're just hanging out, then you would be on the kitchen side, the other side of the divider, if that makes sense. And then the tables and chairs will be set up outside of the West building, and you can hang out there. I know it's still hot, so for indoor places in here. And the only time there's a class in here is World Geography at 10:15. So the rest of the day, 11:15. Yep, that's right, we changed it. Then you can hang out in here. And then just, are you allowed to have food in here? Are you allowed to have food in this room? In this? Okay, if you share with Pastor Tim. Okay, so food and drink is okay in here. Yeah, just clean up after yourself. Okay, conflict. We are all peaceful all the time. Strive to do so. But should a conflict arise between parents or teachers, first please attempt to solve the problem peacefully and privately first. If that is not successful, then talk to me and I will try and remedy. I don't know the correct word to use there, but I will address the situation and just be kind and courteous to those around you. All right.
Or you'll be in the principal's office with Pastor Tim.
Let's see. We're on the last one. Sickness. Just if you're sick or a kid's sick, please stay home. You can read the other things on there. Definitely if you have a fever, please stay home. And we've gone through that, so now you can sign that you've gone through. Sign and print, so then I know exactly who it is. Can't read signatures all the time. Okay, and if you have questions, save them for the Q&A. Just write them down quick. Okay, I know this is really tiny and I don't have a printout of this. So if you have your phone, you can open the app and view this under. I should have this memorized by now. Under News and Events, it's titled Roundup Commitment List. It's a little bit down under the field trips coming up. And there's a link there that will take you to the newest updated list here. So just find your name on there, and if you're still okay with the job that you had committed to with Katie, then you're good to go. And a few of you, I just added jobs for you. So just if you need to switch something around, just talk to me after. And if you have a question about your job, then you can ask me that after the meeting too. Good? Okay. Safety. I'm asking that we go back to, I think we did it last year too, parking in front of the West Building. I think most of us did that. There are first aid kits in each building. I have yet to locate them. I will locate them and tell you where they are on the first day. There will be walkie-talkies in each classroom. So if you need to contact me for you need a parent or you need something that's not an emergency, then just ring me on there. And I will do my best to get to you quickly. Unless it's during my class time, then I probably will not get to you very quickly. I teach the last class, the last hour. And number 4, Pastor Tim, can you come talk about number 4? We have something new this year. We're going to have security on campus.
My list says not engaging in gossip of any kind. Obviously.
Oh, I skipped that one. Okay.
I think I just talked about that, didn't I? Not engaging in gossip of any kind. Boom. I was just checking my notes on that. So yes, we do. I followed up with our security chief at the Cowboy Church. I just don't have specifics. Maybe some of these guys know. But I can assure you of this. We will do our best to have at least one armed security guard on the premises the whole day. Okay, we got 2. Thanks. We have some of our security guys here. So in case you're not familiar with churches that do that kind of security, it's become very common. The tongue-in-cheek for me, amongst other pastors, is this is our strongest small group at Cowboy Church. We have a large group of men and some women to be on the security team. These individuals usually go to the firing range twice a month. They must be accurate. They must be very well trained, for which I'm grateful, because if there's ever an incident, I don't want to be accidentally victimized. And so you can rest assured that these are individuals who have gone through extensive training. They must keep their training up to par. They must keep their skills up to par. And so I haven't worked out all the details with our security chief, but if we're going to have two, that's great. They'll have walkie-talkies. If you have an incident, we'll have a system for you to, have you worked that out yet? Perfect. We've got a system for you to say, help, and take care of business. How's that?
Yeah, safety.
You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you. I think that's the next slide.
I do want to address the parking thing quickly.
Okay.
The reason we do the parking thing is primarily because there's, it's like one big parking lot, but because we use multiple buildings, what's happening throughout the day is kids and parents going back and forth to different buildings. And then we also have the freedom for, your kids may not take all the classes, and so there's coming and going. And so we want to keep all the vehicles in one area. We still have to be very careful with the kids. And then there are other people occasionally, myself included, that will come onto campus, and we might actually drive somewhere else. I do. I break the rules. But I know what's happening. I'm watching. And so that's the reason for keeping all of your vehicles in one spot, is mainly for the security and safety of your kids as they go back and forth between the classes. We don't, that's the story.
Okay, thank you. Okay, emergency plan. So this is for walkie-talkie use. Code red means fire, evacuate, and meet in the arena. That's at the back of the property near the barn. So that's where we will go in case of fire. That is code red. So you'd get on the walkie-talkie and just say code red. Code yellow is lockdown. If there's ever a situation where we need to lock down, lock the door to your classroom, have everyone move away from any open window. In the barn, you'll need to close the exterior door and lock it. Does that mean those big sliding metal doors?
Yes, and so if you're teaching in that class, we can show you in a moment if you've not been out there before. So the story is that when they're closed, most people believe they're closed, but the locking device is actually on the inside. There's also a door inside of the bigger door, but you can lock that as well as swing there's a fancy word for that, clasp, and lock from the inside.
Okay, and then call 911. I didn't say that about the fire. Don't forget to call 911 if there's a fire. And then code green, medical emergency, call 911. Just do that first. All right, and then I talked about this before, but any other time of day when you need assistance of any kind, then you can use the walkie-talkie to call me. Okay. All right, housekeeping. I am in need of a substitute for Jessica's Learning Through Literature class for the first 2 weeks. She's going on a much-needed vacation. And she has the lessons already prepped and ready to go for the first 2 weeks. So it would be a really easy sub job. So if you would like to take that on for the first 2 weeks of co-op, just let me know after. And I will get that stuff from you. Thank you. Okay. Now, I know some of us don't like the app very much. But I like the app. Because I can keep everybody up to date in one place. So I am asking that we all do our best to use the app. And I did figure out that if you have push notifications turned off on your app, that it will automatically send you an email with updates. Whatever email you use to sign up, when you joined on the app, then if push notifications are turned off on your phone, then you should get an email of whatever updates are coming through. So you don't have to use the app on your phone or have it on your phone, because you can access it on the website also. You can access our group. I don't think I can make a video tutorial about that, but if anybody needs a video tutorial about how to use the app, I can probably do that, because I did do that for the teachers. What else? So please use the app, and teachers are going to be making group chats for each classroom so they can communicate with you through the app to let you know if your kiddos need to bring any supplies, if there's a cancellation, or any other information they need to communicate with you. And, oh yeah, try and get in the habit of checking your app or email the night before co-op, so then you're all up to date. And on the app's calendar is where I'm going to be putting all our events and field trips. So if you only open the app and click on the calendar, you're going to have almost all the information that you need. If that's the one button you click the calendar. All right, I think that was it. Now we're on to the Q&A. Any questions? Okay. Too bad I couldn't screen this. Can I do that on these TVs? They're probably not new enough. Okay, so if you open the app, do you have an iPhone or an Android?
Saying we don't have smart TV. She's killing me.
It's the second, so here's chat. The second over is the calendar. Oh, it says classes, but there's a picture of a calendar. Yes. And then you can change your view in there for a list view or a calendar view. At the top right-hand corner, it has a little calendar, so it can look like a calendar, or you press it again, and then it's list view, so everything would be in order of date. Good question. And the packet that you have tonight, I will add to the document section on the app, which is the fourth one over on the top.
Okay, while you think of your next question, I remembered I want to give a plug for the opening assembly from 10 to 10:15. That's right in here. Oh my. At first I was hoping all the kids would be here. Now I'm hoping all the kids were not here. But we're here, so I'll try to be nice. You know, I didn't want to shame any of your parents in front of you. We're trying to get you to stay involved in homeschool. But we do the homeschool, the Roundup opening assembly. And part of the reason we're happy to host is an opportunity to spend about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And we gather here. We start promptly at 10 o'clock. We pledge the flags. So the history of our great nation is that most people learned to read in the early years of our nation so they could read this book. And this book is the foundation of our United States Constitution and the foundation of the free land that we enjoy as citizens. And so the very least we want to do is give your students an opportunity once a week to pledge the flag of the United States of America, to pledge the Christian flag, to say a pledge to the Bible, share a verse or two. I got to get to work. I got 1 week for us to come up with a new verse. Anyway, and then sometimes later during the season we'll also have worship music with our associate pastor, Steve Doka. So let me encourage you to be prompt, to be here right at 10 o'clock, to be here with your kids, and help us start the day off with a bang.
Any more questions? Yes. I have packets.
She even has a pen.
Here, my husband will assist me. Bria needs one.
We don't want to waste that paper, see.
I'm also taking comments. Shannon.
Man, I I just heard that question is, are we able to make coffee here? And I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
We got a plan for coffee.
Wait,
It has something to do with this late hour.
Repeat the question for our live.
The question, are we able to make copies here? Well, I like to just say yes, but with a caveat. We technically do not have a copying machine. We have a lot of printers scattered all around. And so, in other words, we don't have a commercial copy machine. So if you're thinking, how many copies do you think you'd be making? Look, I love it. 12. Well, the reason I ask that is because in what classroom will you be in? The barn, I was going to say. Of course, science. There's not animals out there to experiment on, but anyway, there's not a printer out there. But like in the corner classroom, I'm just talking about like what do you call those things? Like a scanner printer. The cheapo ones that you buy everywhere. Okay. So there's one in that building. There's one in this corner classroom. There's one in the green room, which is where we have a class as well. And then there's one in the office that we usually don't use for homeschool, and there's one in the library. Now I'm just telling you all that because, Amanda, before we kick off next week, we want to make sure they're all
working.
That one especially working. Somebody gave us one, and so we put it in the library. So that would probably, if that's working, and I think it was last time I checked, you're certainly welcome to use it. Do you know where I'm going with this caveat?
Yes. Bring your own paper.
You want to. Well, you know what? You don't have to bring your own supplies, but let us know. Just don't expect that if there's a machine there that's going to crank you out a nice copy. Ideally, yes, but like before you leave tonight, you might try it to see if it. Exactly.
Yeah,
if you're going to cut it close, but it is like I said, they are scattered about, and so we'll try to keep ink in them. There's one in the corner office too.
Make a note. I'm writing a note to check the printers.
Check the printers. We can
make
even get
sure they work.
Extra ink. Nowadays the ink
and that
costs
they
as
have
much
paper.
as the printer.
Upgrade.
It's funny you say that because I'm moving my office from my other job somewhere else, and I came across this plastic box with these individual ink things where I used to use a syringe to do ink. Listen, I'm cheap, but I'm not that cheap anymore. Forget it. we'll be sure we have ink.
Yeah.
So really, the story is just check it first, be prepared. But if one goes low, just let us know, and we'll try to get it replaced.
Any comments? It's Friday night, and you're all looking sleepy.
7 o'clock. We still have the grand tour. We still have the grand tour if you want to see the other buildings and where we're going to meet.
Oh, Shannon.
Can we maybe say our names or something so we kind of know who some of the
Sure.
people are? Or off, like at the end after the live is off, because it's going to be dead space on the live.
Yes.
Thank you for being concerned with our quality live stream presentation of the Roundup Homeschool Ministry.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I will close out the evening for this live portion.
Boom.
Okay.
And then the people are going to want to know what those questions were. Good. So we'll give you a walkabout in the campus in just a minute. If you have questions, you can ask them too. Yes.
The art supplies, is that something you're still looking into?
Yes, I'm still looking into it. And locating where they are.
Why is she looking at me? That's coming next. And you'll want to check that this evening, too, to make sure you can locate it and it's still there.
Yes.
This is a pretty active campus, and, yeah, things get thrown away. So.
Okay, we're ready for introductions and then campus tour.